edge as markets open for a special Sunday trading session. Head of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, Ali Larijani, says progress has been made towards negotiating with the United States, even as the Islamic Republic's army chief warns Washington against launching military strikes. Qatar condemns Israel for what it calls repeated violation of US-brokered ceasefire in Gaza following reports from the Palestinian Territory's Civil Defense Agency that 32 were killed in Israeli strikes. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says his negotiating team is prepared to hold further talks aimed at ending the war with Russia next week, but adds they are awaiting word from the United States on the scheduling of future meetings. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer says former Prince Andrew should testify before the US Congress over his links to Jeffrey Epstein, after new Justice Department files reveal photos of Andrew and emails between the two. Big blow to Minnesota. US judge denies the state's bid to force Immigration and Customs Enforcement to suspend its detention and deportation operations. That has left 2 US citizens dead and fueled massive protests.
Stand up, fight back,
President Donald Trump tells the U.S. Department of Homeland Security not to intervene in protests in Democratic-led cities until they ask for help, amid mounting criticism over his administration's use of aggressive immigration enforcement measures. High-speed train rams a truck stuck on railroad tracks in North Carolina as snowstorm sweeps across U.S. Unidentified assailants fire 4 rounds outside residence of Bollywood director and producer Rohit Shetty. Probe underway. India's budget is likely to focus on measures to shield the economy from global uncertainties and tariff tensions. A mixed global macro picture sets the stage. Economic trade-offs remain challenging. Still, the government is likely to focus on keeping its finances in check. In this next report, we look at how India will look inwards with reforms from strengthening domestic economy amidst a volatile geopolitical backdrop. Take a look.
The Indian economy is doing well, but foreign investors have been selling Indian assets at a rate not seen in years. On February 1, India will unveil its annual budget that will put the country's ability to entice investors through accelerated economic reforms to the test. The key question for investors is, will the government turn towards long-term reforms or turn to temporary stimulus as it did last year? For now, India continues to face resistance from international investors. That is, despite the country's status as the world's fastest-growing major economy. A fresh push for long-term reforms have not really helped. Those reforms include modernization of labor laws and the relaxation of regulations in the financial sector. Still, foreign investors have sold a total of $22.6 billion worth of Indian stocks since January 2025. Economists argue the budget should prioritize domestic economic reforms that attract more foreign investment. Their suggestions include simplifying customs regulation, which currently make doing business in the country challenging. Economists also caution against relying too much on the sugar high of recently announced tax cuts. They say any relaxation of fiscal policy would frighten away foreign investors and speed up the sell-off. The focus of spending will likely remain on long-term infrastructure projects that generate jobs. India is not likely to look at providing a quick boost to growth, despite the government's aim for a $5 trillion economy at the earliest. A Reuters report quoting official sources showed India's goal is to increase exports threefold by 2035. The budget is expected to focus on manufacturing and implementing structural changes instead of relying on large-scale investment. According to the Reuters report, the country aims to increase yearly goods exports to $1.3 trillion, accelerate economic growth by focusing manufacturing on 15 key industries including metals, labor-intensive leather production, and high-end semiconductors. The allocation is likely to show 100 billion rupees or $1 billion to build infrastructure for about 30 manufacturing hubs across the targeted sectors, provide grants of $218 million for advanced areas such as chips and energy storage. This year, financial support to industries will likely be decided case by case. The plan is to replace the pre-budget fiscal packages of earlier schemes and use focused spending to rein in fiscal deficit. Business Bureau, WION World is One.
This year, the World Economic Forum in Davos saw the largest delegation of Indian businesses and representatives. WION spoke to some top leaders at the World Economic Forum on the expectations from India's budget 2026. Listen in.
If I can turn my attention to budget, which is coming shortly, would you have any idea of what you expect from India budget?
So I think, India, of course, has a huge opportunity to secure its future around energy, transportation, education, things like that. And we'll, of course, see a very, in my view at least, a very action-oriented budget coming forward. Again, there's, kind of the cusp of a real development surge, and there's a huge opportunity to take advantage of that.
No, actually, the best time for India has started now. The next 25 years is going to be a great period for which the foundation, Modi government has put up a great foundation, and the new budget that is going to come also, we see that it is going to give a lot of impetus to all the areas of growth.
The most important thing is policy stability and continuity, which under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi has been there for this period. And we expect a lot of that to continue as we move forward. But a couple of nuances. I think one of the things is we need to make a more resilient domestic supply chain around the entire EV landscape.
I think this year, 2026, is going to be a great year for India. I think what the country has put together in 2025 is only set a platform for a much better and brighter 2026. I think we're going to see greater FDI inflows coming into, especially in the sectors that we work in, which is real estate and infrastructure, what we define as real assets. I think India is going to see a lot of capital inflows coming in because people here in Davos are looking for very stable, long-term, dependable, high-yielding cash flows. And I think there can't be a better country in the world that can offer all of these. So,
the head of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, Ali Larijani, has said that progress has been made towards negotiation with the United States, even as the Islamic Republic's army chief warned Washington against launching military strikes. Now, taking to his X account, Larijani said that contrary to the hype of the contrived media war, the structural arrangements for negotiations were progressing. Ali Larijani also met with Qatari Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani, who made a quick visit to Iran amidst the fear of a conflict with Washington. Qatar's foreign ministry said on Saturday in a statement that both sides reviewed efforts to de-escalate tensions in the region. Larijani was speaking a day after the Kremlin said he held talks in Moscow with Russian President Vladimir Putin. His statement came alongside Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, who said that a broader conflict would hurt both Iran and the US. Earlier, the US president had indicated that the two sides were talking while keeping the threat of any attack in the foreground. Washington has deployed warships led by the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier off Iran's shores after Trump threatened to intervene in the wake of Tehran's deadly crackdown on anti-government protests. The US has also demanded Tehran to curb its missile program if the two nations are to resume talks, but Iran has rejected that demand. Now, meanwhile, Iranian Army Chief Amir Hatami has warned the United States and Israel against any attack, saying his forces were at full defensive and military readiness. He issued a stark warning to the US, saying that forces were ready to defend the Islamic Republic until the end.
The armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran have ranks upon ranks filled with commanders, generals, officers, and soldiers who will defend this country until the last moment. Without doubt, today our missile power, our defense power, and other dimensions of our defensive power are in a superior and higher position compared to before the 12-day imposed war.
The announcement of Iranian army chief coincided with an explosion in southern Iran, which claimed the life of a 4-year-old girl and injured 14 others. Now, the explosion took place in an apartment building in Iran's Bandar Abbas city. According to state media, this was second blast due to a gas explosion at first. Such blast took place in the southwestern city of Ahvaz and killed 5 people.
Unfortunately, so far, 14 people have been injured and 1 person has died, a 4-year-old girl. Technical teams are present at the site and investigating the cause and dimensions of the incident.
The Associated Press, citing a local media footage, suggested that a member of Iranian security force was reportedly carried out by rescuers from the blast site. It further said that the footage included a sequence that showed a man in black boots and a green security force uniform being carried out on a stretcher. However, state media described those claims as completely false. Both US and Israel have clarified that explosions are not linked to them. The largest release of Jeffrey Epstein files to date has put global elites back under the spotlight. More than 3 million documents, videos, and images released by the US Justice Department are now revealing private communications and undisclosed contacts. Here are 5 high-profile names and the bombshell allegations linked to them. The most explosive revelations involve Prince Andrew. Emails from 2010 show Andrew inviting Jeffrey Epstein to Buckingham Palace shortly after Epstein was released from house arrest. Andrew offered a private dinner, promised plenty of privacy, and said Epstein could bring anyone he wished. It remains unclear if the meeting took place, but the invitation adds to Andrews a deepening controversy in the Epstein case. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates features in documents containing allegations drafted by Epstein. These include claims of extramarital affairs and that Gates contracted a sexually transmitted disease after encounters with Russian women. The files also allege Epstein facilitated a secret trust and medication requests. Gates' spokesperson has flatly denied the claims. Billionaire tech mogul Elon Musk appears in email exchanges with Epstein discussing possible gatherings at Epstein's private island. Responding publicly, Musk said he declined all invitations to visit the island or fly on Epstein's plane and welcomed the file release. He said the real priority should be prosecuting those who committed crimes with Epstein. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is named in documents showing he planned a trip to Epstein's private island in 2012, a visit never previously disclosed. This contradicts his claim that he cut all ties with Epstein around 2005. The files also show Epstein donated to a 2017 charity dinner honoring Lutnick and that the two remained in email contact years later. Former UK Cabinet Minister Peter Mandelson is linked through emails showing Epstein sent £10,000 to Mandelson's husband in 2009. At the time, Mandelson was business secretary and a key figure in the Gordon Brown government. Documents also show discussions about Mandelson staying at Epstein's property while Epstein was serving a prison sentence. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that Kyiv is prepared to hold fresh talks with US as early as next week to discuss proposals aimed at ending the Russia-Ukraine war. The statement comes ahead of Russia-Ukraine peace talks originally scheduled to take place on Sunday, with his remarks signaling uncertainty over whether the meeting will go ahead.
Постійно спілкуємося з американською стороною.
We are constantly communicating with the American side. We expect specifics from them regarding further meetings. Ukraine is ready to work in all working formats. It is important that there are results and that there are meetings. We are counting on the meetings next week. We are preparing for them.
Тижня ми готуємося до них.
U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff announced that he held productive and constructive talks with Russian officials. He posted on X that they are encouraged by meeting that Russia is working towards securing peace in Ukraine, adding that U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Special Envoy Jared Kushner also attended the meeting. However, there was no official statement regarding details of the meeting. Amid a worsening winter energy crisis in Kyiv and across Ukraine, Ukrainian soldiers have condemned recent Russian strikes on country's energy infrastructure as deliberate terror tactics aimed at weakening civilian resilience and morale.
They have no electricity, no gas, no water. What do they think? Naturally, we will lose. Everything is bad. This is what the Russians' tactics are designed to do, to intimidate the population, to make them think that everything is bad for us. Yes, things are bad for us, but the war is not over. We are fighting.
Ukraine's power grid was hit by widespread outages on Saturday after a technical malfunction caused critical high-voltage transmission lines linking country with neighboring Moldova and Romania to fail, according to officials. Millions of residents were left without electricity. Kyiv's metro system was suspended and water supplies were disrupted amid freezing winter conditions. Decommissioned Chernobyl nuclear power plant also briefly lost its external electricity supply. In a big setback for Minnesota, a U.S. federal judge has denied the state's request to force Immigration and Customs Enforcement to suspend its operations, which has ended the deaths of 2 U.S. citizens and triggered massive protests. In a separate ruling, a federal judge has ordered the release of a 5-year-old boy and his father from a detention center in Texas by Tuesday. The pair were taken into custody in Minnesota and later transferred out of state. The government says the father entered the US illegally, while the family's lawyer maintains he has a pending asylum claim allowing him to remain in the country. Anger over the immigration crackdown spilled into the streets of Minneapolis again on Friday, as thousands of demonstrators rallied against President Trump's deportation drive. Protesters carried signs condemning ICE and joined calls for a national shutdown. The demonstrations coincided with legal action against a prominent journalist over coverage of the protest in the northern city. Protests also moved indoors on Saturday when dozens of demonstrators gathered inside a Target store in Minneapolis, singing "We Shall Not Be Moved." Protesters staged a sit-in near checkout counters, urging the retailer to protect its workers from federal immigration agents. Many called on the company to take a stand. Cyclists rode past a makeshift memorial for Alex Pretty, a 37-year-old intensive care unit nurse who was killed by federal agents in Minneapolis. The bike ride, part of protests against the immigration crackdown, highlighted growing public outrage over controversial enforcement actions. The FBI has taken over the investigation into the fatal shooting of Alex Pretty in Minneapolis. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem has confirmed the development.
You're asking me about the body cam footage from, there's a lot of discussion going on with that. The FBI is leading the investigation, and as that goes forward, that'll be at their discretion.
Separately, President Donald Trump says the Department of Homeland Security will stay out of protests in Democratic-led cities unless federal assistance is requested for federal property is threatened. Hong Kong-based CK Hutchinson is likely to move forward with selling its remaining port assets in Panama. This according to reports. The development comes a day after Panama's Supreme Court nullified its contract for 2 terminals at either end of the country's geostrategically vital canal. The Panama Ports Company, which is a subsidiary of CK Hutchinson, has operated the port of Balbao and Cristobal Port on the Atlantic side of the canal since 1997. But after returning to power last year, Trump said that China was using the 2 ports to control the Panama Canal. The US used this as a pretext to pressure Panama. Trump said that the US had given the canal to Panama, not China, and he threatened to take the canal back. In the months since Trump's threat, Panama has held multiple discussions with the US, and the Latin American nation has been tightening the screws on the Chinese port owners. Last year, CK Hutchinson had announced a deal to sell dozens of its ports, including the 2 in Panama, to a consortium led by the American investment bank company BlackRock. Now, the deal was valued at close to $23 billion, but it was stalled, reportedly due to objections by the Chinese government. Well, that is it from my side, but keep watching WION World is One to stay updated and on the go. Thank you.
What does the budget really mean for you?
From taxes to growth and jobs to inflation.
Your money, your business, your future. Join us as we decode with expert analysis
and the ground impact. No jargon, no noise, only clear answers.
Watch India Budget 2026 on WION World is One.
Technology doesn't always move in a straight line. Sometimes the future comes early and flies twice at the speed of sound. High fidelity just can't match the beauty and melody of analog sound. And for all our advancements in technology, the greatest enigmas of nature still remain enduring mysteries. Catch all these stories and more on Tech It Out, only on WION at these times.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
On the West Asia Post this week, as Iran tensions escalate, Tehran threatens to sink US aircraft carrier. Hamas seeks role for its fighters in governing Gaza ahead of the disarmament talks. Russia eyes major military bases in Syria amid heightening tensions between Damascus and Tel Aviv.
Watch the West Asia Post only on WION World is One.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS Centenary Year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Technology doesn't always move in a straight line. Sometimes the future comes early and flies twice at the speed of sound. High fidelity just can't match the beauty and melody of analog sound. And for all our advancements in technology, the greatest enigmas of nature still remain enduring mysteries. Catch all these stories and more on Tech It Out, only on WION at these times.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching WION World is One with me, Diksha Bisla, and this is WION's continuous and comprehensive coverage of Union Budget 2026. Today, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present her 9th consecutive Union Budget on Sunday, and all eyes are going to be on her starting 11 a.m. Well, that is the top story for today. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is set to present her 9th consecutive union budget today, and reports suggest that she plans to break a 75-year tradition by expanding Part B of the speech to outline India's long-term economic vision amid strong growth expectations. Qatari Prime Minister holds talks in Iran, seeks to ease regional tensions as US naval battle group led by USS Abraham Lincoln positions off Iran's shores. Qatar condemns Israel for what it calls repeated violation of US-brokered ceasefire in Gaza, following reports from the Palestinian Territory's Civil Defense Agency that 32 were killed in Israeli strikes. US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff holds what he calls productive and constructive talks with Russian Special Envoy Kirill Dmitriev as part of ongoing efforts to achieve a peaceful resolution to the Ukraine conflict. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer says former Prince Andrew should testify before the US Congress over his links to Jeffrey Epstein. This is after new Justice Department files reveal photos of Andrew and emails between the two. Danish Defense Minister says Denmark intends to have a stronger military presence in Greenland this year and in years to come. This is amid Trump's threats to seize the island by force. Thousands of cyclists gathered in Minneapolis to honor the life of Alex Pretty, a registered nurse and avid cyclist killed by federal agents during an ICE operation last month. High-speed train rams truck stuck on railroad tracks in North Carolina as snowstorm sweeps across the United States. Unidentified assailants fire 4 rounds outside residence of Bollywood director and producer Rohit Shetty. Probe is underway. Bitcoin slid below $80,000, extending its decline as prices fall about 4%, falling close to $77,000, which is its lowest since November. This comes amid concerns over tight liquidity and potential Federal Reserve policy shifts. Ether also drops sharply. India's budget is likely to focus on measures to shield the economy from global uncertainties and tariff tensions. A mixed global macro picture sets the stage. Economic trade-offs remain challenging. Still, the government is likely to focus on keeping its finances in check. In this next report, we look at how India will look inwards with reforms for strengthening domestic economy amidst a volatile geopolitical backdrop. Take a look.
The Indian economy is doing well, but foreign investors have been selling Indian assets at a rate not seen in years. On February 1, India will unveil its annual budget that will put the country's ability to entice investors through accelerated economic reforms to the test. The key question for investors is, will the government turn towards long-term reforms, or turn to temporary stimulus as it did last year. For now, India continues to face resistance from international investors. That is, despite the country's status as the world's fastest growing major economy. A fresh push for long-term reforms have not really helped. Those reforms include modernization of labor laws and the relaxation of regulations in the financial sector. Still, foreign investors have sold a total of $22.6 billion worth of Indian stocks since January 2025. Economists argue the budget should prioritize domestic economic reforms that attract more foreign investment. Their suggestions include simplifying customs regulation, which currently make doing business in the country challenging. Economists also caution against relying too much on the sugar high of recently announced tax cuts. They say any relaxation of fiscal policy would frighten away foreign investors and speed up the sell-off. The focus of spending will likely remain on long-term infrastructure projects that generate jobs. India is not likely to look at providing a quick boost to growth, despite the government's aim for a $5 trillion economy at the earliest. A Reuters report quoting official sources showed India's goal is to increase exports threefold by 2035. The budget is expected to focus on manufacturing and implementing structural changes instead of relying on large-scale investment. According to the Reuters report, the country aims to increase yearly goods exports to $1.3 trillion, accelerate economic growth by focusing manufacturing on 15 key industries including metals, labor-intensive leather production, and high-end semiconductors. The allocation is likely to show 100 billion rupees or $1 billion to build infrastructure for about 30 manufacturing hubs across the targeted sectors, provide grants of $218 million for advanced areas such as chips and energy storage. This year, financial support to industries will likely be decided case by case. The plan is to replace the pre-budget fiscal packages of earlier schemes and use focused spending to rein in fiscal deficit. Business Bureau, WION World is One.
India's budget 2026 is just around the corner, and a lot of buzz this time is around tax reforms with special focus on sectors like artificial intelligence and electric vehicles. And to catch what people are expecting from this year's budget, WION's team went to the streets of New Delhi to catch a sense of it. Listen in.
Government should focus on increasing allocation for education in this budget. The lower income class should also be catered to, also on improving health care. So, health, education, and equal opportunities, these should be the main focus points.
The government reduced the tax slabs last year. It helps a lot. It boosts the consumption. However, the thing should be done when it comes to investor as a class. The LTCD should be reduced, the SCCD should be reduced, and STD, security transaction tax, should be kept. Because it will help our investor class a lot. And I guess the PLI schemes should be there for the lithium-ion batteries, for the manufacturing of commercial aircraft, I would say. And the capex should be done. The capex in the economy for the capital goods, for the engineering goods should be done. The free buy should be reduced, and I guess it will help a lot.
If the government wants foreign investors to come to India, they will have to reduce capital gains tax. The reason is that dollar is getting expensive, rupee is in free fall, and the return for a foreign investor is confined to 2.5%. They can get better returns on FDs in their home country. Also, Japan is a big reason for this foreign outflow from India. Mutual funds are currently forming the bulk of India's markets.
And in just a few hours from now, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present the Union Budget 2026. And as we've discussed, there's a lot of buzz this time around the tax reforms, with special focus on artificial intelligence and EV along with manufacturing. And to catch what people are expecting from this year's budget, WION's team also went to the streets of Chennai to catch a sense of it. And this is what people had to say. Listen in.
Okay, so a lot of expectations are hovering around the tech sector, tech and AI sector. And then there is also this push for a 20,000 crore deep tech fund for like sectors like biotech, space tech, because they take years to build in. So I think it's basically a shift from India being a manufacturing hub to a service hub that the tech leaders are eyeing for.
I think 4 states are going for polls. I think especially Assam, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and West Bengal. I think this time in the budget, these 4 states would be given a fair share of allocation in terms of infrastructure development, especially with respect to Kerala, because there's a lot of discussions going on in Kerala with respect to the Silver Line project, which is a fast railway project from one end of Kerala to the other end. So I think in terms of allocation to different states, I think all these 4 states would be given consideration.
I am looking forward to the fuel prices going down if possible, and it is an area of concern because fuel prices, they impact prices of other things like the basic necessities. If you look at the vegetable prices or other basic amenities, all these prices will be more or less dependent on the fuel prices. So if it goes down, it will be a big advantage for the middle and lower class families, which usually depend on all these things.
I expect 3 things from the budget this year. Number one, how they see AI from a budget allocation standpoint, and 2, for taxpayers, what income tax revisions are going to happen, what GST revisions are going to happen. I mean, there were already revisions. I'm just looking forward to see what more can be made. And thirdly, what more incentives are willing to offer gig and platform workers, given that insurance cover is clearly not enough. I mean, only 4.4% of total gig and platform workers actually registered for insurance. So there's that.
All right, and moving on, tensions between US and Iran are reaching a fever pitch. Amid the threat of an imminent war, Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has made a public appearance, one that carried a strong message for the United States. Our next report tells you more. Take a look.
The war of words between the US and Iran is refusing to die down, hinting towards the possibility of a direct confrontation. The West Asian region is bracing for impact. The US is locked and loaded, Trump is weighing his options, and Iran is promising a retaliation like never before. Amid the threat of an imminent war, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has sent out a strong message. The 86-year-old Supreme Leader visited the shrine of Ruhollah Khomeini, the founder of the Islamic Republic. The visit is being seen as a strong message to the US. Reports say taking out Khamenei is one of the options on Washington's table. His public appearance also comes amid rumors that he was hiding in a bunker. As tensions reach a fever pitch, Iran's army chief has warned that its armed forces are on high alert. Tehran claims it has a more potent arsenal than during the 12-day war, and it stands ready to retaliate with strength. Tensions are palpable on Iran's streets. Billboards in central Tehran are displaying coffins draped in American and Israeli flags. They bear an ominous message for the US. Watch out for your soldiers. Less than a year after the 12-day war, familiar foes US and Iran look set for another confrontation. One that could be far more devastating both in scale and impact. The US has assembled its powerful armada near the waters of Iran. It is led by the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier the USS Abraham Lincoln, which is flanked by 3 naval destroyers. Washington has also rushed in fighter jets and heavy bombers into regional bases. Additionally, it has docked its Navy destroyer in the port of Eilat, Israel's only commercial gateway to the Red Sea. US President Donald Trump has indicated that Iran would seek to negotiate a deal rather than face American military action. Trump says he has given Iran a deadline to talk about its nuclear and missile programs. Citing the US military action in Venezuela, Trump has warned Iran of the same reciprocity from the US armada floating near the Islamic Republic.
We have a large armada, flotilla, you can call it whatever you want, heading toward Iran right now, even larger than what we had in Venezuela. It's still in front of, we're now sending actually a larger number of ships to Iran. And hopefully we'll make a deal. If we do make a deal, that's good. If we don't make a deal, we'll see what happens.
Iran says it is open to talks on its nuclear program, but its missile capabilities and defensive power are off the table.